morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to talk about a new card. Except it's not really a new card now, is it? It's a card that we've seen, shall we say, a couple of times before. It has been confirmed by the lovely Antoine Boulet, one of our very favourites here, that this is actually a reprint of EXP Share, Experience Share. And I tell you what, this is a good card, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very good card. Now, of course, we did actually have EXP All back in the day. That actually first came out in Neo Destiny, came back around in Fire Red and Leaf Green. And then it turned into EXP Share in Next Destinies. And then we got it again in, well, with different artwork in Primal Clash. And then we got it with different artwork again in Sun and Moon. And this is slightly different artwork again, but let's not get overly excited here, right? It's the same card it's always been. None of the artwork is particularly awesome or unique. Hey ho. I need to give a shout out to the Japanese YouTube channel here because they did this thing where if they had, well, they played 2 games against just random people who watch. And for each win that the public got, they would do a reveal. Yeah, public didn't win any games, but they still showed us that EXP Share is coming back, and I suppose at least for that we can be thankful. So, EXP Share then, what have we got? You attach this as a tool to one of your Pokemon that doesn't already have one, and when your active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, you may move 1 basic energy from that Pokemon to the Pokemon this card is attached to. That was the wording on the Sun and Moon print. I assume it is the same here. It is interesting to note that this is the first time it's been printed since Sun and Moon, which was the Sun and Moon base set, I should mention, which was actually in February 2017. So near enough 4 years between prints, although not, to be honest, that long since it's been rotated out. An EXP Share is a weird one, because on the one hand, it's a good card, sees a bunch of play. On the other hand, it's not an amazing card, doesn't see a phenomenal amount of play. It is a kind of card that is not going to be popping up in every deck. This is not going to be a staple in deck after deck after deck, but it is going to be exactly this kind of card that we want to use. I mean, I don't know if it would see play in this particular deck, but here's a nice example for you. Boltund. Boltund is a very nice card. Boltund V I'm specifically referring to. Boltund V, I mean, it's got a nice attack for 2 energy that does 10 damage base, plus 30 more for each lightning energy you've got attached to each of your Pokemon, which is kind of cool. But then, by the same token, it's got a really nice first attack, 1 energy. Search your deck for up to 2 lightning energy and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way that you like. Now, when you attack with Boltund, as in using Electrify, one of 2 things is going to happen. Either you're going to be able to survive, and then at some point later on in the game, you'll attach a second energy, and away we go. Or you're going to get KO'd, you're going to lose that energy. Now, obviously, the better situation here is you can get Boltund out the active, preferably without paying retreat, and then you get to play around, and later on in the game, it's just sitting there, ready to attack. But what if you could have an EXP Share on, say, oh, I don't know, top of my head, a Pikachu and Zekrom sitting on the bench? Because we like Pikachu and Zekrom. Pikachu and Zekrom comes in, full blitz, free energy, 180 damage. Search your deck for up to 3 lightning cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon. And what would be awesome here is being able to just have a Pikachu and Zekrom sitting on the bench, and then there's multiple things that you can do here. You can either just leave one sitting on the bench, and after a couple of KOs, it's almost ready to go. Or you can leave it sitting on the bench with an EXP Share just to kind of help out. And it can kind of help the mass here. I mean, Tag Bolt, free energy, 200 damage is fine. But 6 energy, 200 to the active, 170 to the bench, That sounds pretty gosh darn good to me. So you full blitz onto a bench Pokemon, it's got free energy on, but it's also got an EXP share. If Pikarom goes down, then the bench Pikarom goes up to 4 energy, you attach for turn, Tapu Koko or energy switch, and all of a sudden you've gone from a free energy Pikarom, which is not threatening a big tag bolt, to a 6 energy Pikarom that is absolutely threatening a big tag bolt. And that's kind of where I'm going with this. It is to set up attacks. The whole point of this is that you can use this, and a lot of the time, after a full blitz, you'll have 3 energy on a Pikarom, and you can get 2 energy on, but it's that 3rd energy that's awkward. In comes the EXP share. Honestly, one of my first thoughts here is Eternatus VMAX. I adore this in Eternatus VMAX, and the reason is very simple. Eternatus VMAX is a very good attacker, but it takes 2 energy to attack. So you do 30 damage for each of your Darkness Pokemon in play. You can have up to 8 bench Pokemon. That's 9 Pokemon total. That's 270 damage. But if your first Eternatus gets KO'd, and there is no energy on your bench Eternatus, you aren't attacking next turn. Now, there are things that you can do. You can Turbo Patch before you VMAX, but remember, if your only VMAX gets KO'd, you get down to 5 bench spaces, which isn't what you're looking for. You can play Rose to get 2 energy on, but firstly, very few people do, and secondly, it requires you to discard your entire hand, which is, shall we say, not completely ideal. So in comes the EXP share, and when your first Eternatus goes down, your second Eternatus grabs an energy from it, and then you attach an energy from your hand and you're ready to go. Think about EXP share as a turbo patch that works on a non-basic Pokemon for which you don't have to hit a heads. I'm not saying that every deck is magically going to put 3 or 4 EXP share in. That's not the way it's going to work. What is going to happen, however, is that a couple of decks here and there are going to go, I'm going to play this in addition to or instead of Turbo Patch. I like this more than Turbo Patch in Eternatus decks, because Turbo Patch is flippy. Now, we do need to mention right off the bat here, Tool Scrapper is a card that exists in the current metagame. And that means, and bearing in mind, right, the energy gets moved over after your opponent takes a KO, i.e. on your opponent's turn. What that means is that if your opponent drops a Tool Scrapper and then takes a KO, they can completely bypass the EXP share. And that is going to happen. It happened before, it will happen again. That is a risk that we've got to take. However, it's not like you're just always going to be able to do this just magically all of the time. It's not how it works. Most decks are playing 1 Tool Scrapper maximum. A lot of decks at the moment are not playing Tool Scrapper. So if you're playing 1 Tool Scrapper, yeah, fine, there are going to be those games where you hit Tool Scrapper right as you take a KO and it's going to be amazing. And there's going to be plenty of games where you don't. And EXP Share is going to work very nicely indeed, thank you very much. The fact of the matter is this is extra energy attachments, and although it's never going to be a staple in every deck, it saw a lot of play when it was around before. There were plenty of decks that made really good use of it, and this will as well. There are going to be some decks that just don't really want to use it. I mean, think about an ADP deck, right? You got the 2 energy on ADP. If your opponent takes a KO, hey, you can get an energy onto your Zacian, making it easier for it to actually go ahead and attack. Or you just have a Zacian on the bench, so first ADP goes down, energy on Zacian. Second, or first Zacian, second Pokemon total goes down, second energy on Zacian, and then it means you're basically using Metal Saucer for your first Zacian and EXP Share for your second, and it makes life easier. But the fact of the matter is that Zacian decks like playing Big Charm to get extra HP on both Zacian and ADP. Or they like playing Metal Goggles to reduce damage done. Or they're going to be really liking to play Rusted Sword that lets them do an extra 30 damage with their Zacian V, and the point is that they're playing so many other tools, they're just not going to find space for it. If you're playing other tools, this probably isn't going to change your mind. But if you're playing a deck like Pikarom, like Eternatus, I mean Centiskorch even, bearing in mind Centiskorch 1 extra energy will equate to 40 extra damage. So having this on, you lose a Center Scorch, and your second Center Scorch all of a sudden does an extra 40 damage. I can't be the only one that thinks that sounds pretty gosh darn good. And now all of a sudden, you've got that extra energy. It's not going to work for every deck, and even in the decks where it does work, there are probably going to be a bunch of people that don't have much interest in actually playing it. But there are going to be certain players in certain decks that are absolutely all over this one, and for those decks it is going to make a big difference. It is going to get that extra energy. There are going to be those games where you can only attack and win with Eternatus because of EXP Share. I don't expect this to be a staple in every single deck going out there, but I do expect it to see a whole bunch of play and make a whole bunch of difference. I'm going to give it 4 Wassies because I think in the past it's kind of proven to be a 4 Wassie card. Obviously, metagames change and it's not going to be exactly the same now as it was in the past, but it's still a good enough card that will make enough of a difference with enough decks and enough matchups that I think we need to take it quite seriously. But I'd like to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.